Broadcasting. Fresh new shows are hitting the airwaves every day. Shows about all the things that matter to you in your life. Music, fashion, celebs, and more. It's all here, and it's getting better every day. Only at Global Voice Broadcasting.
Hey, we're back. What's up, guys? We're here for our second show. What's up, Jimmy?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. This is Into. We're an interactive show talking about gay issues. I'm Matt Dempsey. I'm a psychotherapist.
And I'm Jimmy Fowley. I am a comedian in Los Angeles and online.
That's an introduction. So, yeah, here we are. Like I said, it's interactive. We really, really want you guys to be a part of this. So there's a few ways you can do it. Go to our website. It's into.show. You can watch us live there. There's also going to be all of our old episodes that will be there, some clips, information about us. So check that out. Right now, we're also on Facebook Live. So you can go to Matthew J. Dempsey Psychotherapy. That's my professional page. That's where we're doing this Facebook Live. And then you can also check Jimmy out on Periscope.
Yep, I think there's 2 people on right now checking it out. So join the party.
Woohoo! Also, you can tweet at us. It's at Into Talk Show. That's also our Instagram. And the biggest thing that we're really, really hopeful for is we want to talk to you guys. We actually want to have real conversations. So call in. Please call us. The phone number is 323-522-5482. I think we're going to get that number up on the screen in a minute. Again, it's 323-522-5482. There it is. So call in. We want to chat.
And thanks so much for our caller last week, Justin. It was awesome to talk to you.
Yeah,
and,
that was great.
Yeah, I guess we had 4 different callers call in, right, Ryan, at one point? So we were still we're figuring out.
We're figuring a lot out.
Yeah, so those other 3 people that we missed, maybe we'll get to tonight.
Totally. So please call in. I think we've got these tech snags figured out. So anyway, so we've got some things to talk about, but I just wanted to see how you're doing, Jimmy.
I'm good. I mean, Matt, I feel like the elephant in the room is you got a little raspy voice going. Are you sick?
I do. It was like a little bit of a head cold, and then I was in Big Sur this last weekend, so I think all the changes and everything probably wasn't helping. And I'm sure by the end of this, I'm going to sound like Marge's sister from The Simpsons or something.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the smoke.
Oh, it's already coming, so get ready for it.
Yeah, that if you follow Matt on Instagram, he shared this video and his voice was like so going out on him.
I tried so hard though. I was just like, people watch.
Yeah.
Lost the voice.
I loved it.
How's your weekend?
It was good. I'm trying to think. I just ended up teaching a little bit, which was good. Teaching some improv.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was relaxing. I watched Game of Thrones last night. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
No. I'm the one person that doesn't, by the way. I've got HBO, I've got a nice TV, but I don't watch it.
You probably at this point feel like it's a huge commitment, right? Like to get into it, it's already.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm really good with actual commitment in relationships, but TV, that's where my commitment issues fly.
It was so good last night. I actually saw it with Ryan.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, what do you think? Should we just get launch into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right. Well, why don't you introduce our topic for tonight?
So tonight we are talking about hookup etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
And also about disclosure.
Yeah, just kind of just the expectations overall that people have, whether it's about disclosing STD information, status, things like that, or just in general, maybe some other things that can come up. And it's funny because kind of the way that this came up, we were talking about wanting to do a show on sex, just in general, but then thinking okay, that's pretty broad. So more specifically, what can it be? And then we had a mutual friend, who I hope you're watching, you know who you are, who posted something on Facebook and basically just said okay, great. I just had another incident with gonorrhea.
Yeah.
It would be really great if people got tested and also had real conversations. And it just launched this flurry of responses and comments from other people about what you should do or how you should handle it.
Yeah, and he was saying that people thought he got hacked, and they were like, "Oh, I guess we have a caller, Ryan. Should we go to it?" I was just gonna say, he thought he got hacked, and some people thought he got hacked, and he's like, "Nope, this is." you know, this is like how I just feel. And he's like, it was late and he was a little drunk, but he didn't delete it because he was like, it was almost empowering. And me and my roommate were like, God, he's like such a hero, like, which is a weird word to use to describe that, but like he just is like putting it out there because there is so much shame about it when really it's this thing that, you know, if you're sexually active, you know,
totally, yeah,
get it, you know.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why it can be a really difficult thing to talk about, or that people don't really necessarily want to have those conversations and all of it. So to actually be able to put it out there is pretty vulnerable, because it's going against the grain of what we're taught is okay. Exactly. And that's why it's kind of is like a hero in a sense, you know, to be able to actually have enough courage and bravery to throw out a conversation that otherwise people might like frown on. Yeah. So just being able to do that, and that's also a big part of the reason why we wanted to then also use this as an opportunity to keep the conversation going and broaden it and have it be so much more of like a normalizing thing.
Yeah, totally.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like, you know, when Matt and I were talking about the show, one of the great things about it is to have a place to go with these conversations because, you know, aside from talking to your gay friends and seeing what they think, we're all just kind of figuring it out, you know, because our community is relatively new in terms of just like, you know, even just with like legalities and marriage and everything, we're kind of like as we go really defining it, so we're still figuring it out, and that's what I think it's great about just talking about it. Cannot wait to hear your guys' experience. And
yeah, well, I mean, do you want to just jump? We got to we've got a first call. Oh, and so it's already gone, but that's okay. This is what happens, guys. Yeah, so call back. Okay, look, this is the thing. When you guys call in, we might not be able to get to you right away just because we might be in the middle of a thought, but we're going to get to you as quickly as possible. Just know that we know that you're there. And then when you call in, we actually just put you on mute. So if you can hear us talking, that means that you are on a call with us, and we're going to get to you in a minute. So just know that, and if you can be patient, that'd be awesome. But like I said, we really want to talk to you and hear from you. So that person who just called and hung up, maybe you can call back, or anybody else.
Well, so I guess, you know, Matt, for you, and I don't know if this is too personal, but I'm sure it won't be.
We'll see.
What do you do? Like, let's say you find out that you have an STD. Like, you just reach out to like the past few guys you've hooked up with, like. So
this is really personal, but I'm also going to share it because that's what we're doing here, right? So there was probably maybe like 3 years ago or so, I got gonorrhea, and it was throat gonorrhea. I swear that's not why my voice is raspy.
It's back, guys. His throat gonorrhea is back, and he's lying about it.
Here's the issue, yeah. But it was about maybe 3-4 years ago, and I didn't know that I had it. I just didn't know. And I go to the doctor regularly. I get tested. There really wasn't so much of a symptom with it, so I didn't know. I had hooked up with a couple guys kind of like recently as then the next time that I went to the doctor, and they called me in and they were like, you have gonorrhea. We've just got to get that taken care of and whatever. And I was like, okay, great. I've got a few phone calls I need to make. So I did. And for a minute, I was like, I don't want to call. Like, this is so embarrassing. It feels embarrassing. Shameful. Yeah. But I did. I was like, I just have to do what I would want, you know? And so I did. And I reached out and I called both of them. And I was super lucky and fortunate. They were very cool about it. And they were both very much like, thank you for, you know, telling me. And one of them was not even a citizen, so he didn't know where to get care. So I researched that information and got that for him too. So I felt like I did my due diligence, you know what I mean? But it was challenging.
He wasn't a citizen. I mean, I feel like we all want you to elaborate more on that.
Well, I mean, what do you say?
Like, he was visiting, or he was like...
No, he was Brazilian.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was here, and he hadn't yet... Whatever, it was a thing. He didn't have insurance. So, this is real. But anyway, but it was hard. You know what I mean? Like, those aren't the conversations you long to have with guys that you want to be sexy to, you know?
Those conversations feel hideous.
Yeah. What about you? Anything?
Matt, how dare you? How dare you put me on the spot? I mean, I definitely, you know, I had a situation. This is actually really embarrassing, but I had a situation a few months ago where this guy hit me up on Snapchat of all places, which I was like, but he was like, hey, he's like, you're the first person I hooked up with in a long time, and I have an STD, and he was like basically hinting that I gave it to him,
right?
And I was like, I don't have a fucking STD, and it was just like, you know, and he's like, I have chlamydia and gonorrhea, and I was like, both? you know, because that feels like doubly bad. It's just like, you know, I was like, so I went and I got tested. You know how they call you after, like, within the week just to let you know if you have it.
Yeah.
So the week went by and I didn't get called, and I was like, and I felt so, like, self-righteous because here you are, like, making me feel bad, and I didn't even have it.
Yeah.
And so I just, you know, I was kind of excited to be like, hey, like, don't know who else you hooked up with, but it wasn't me. And then I, like, called just to double check, and they're like, oh, yeah, you have both. And I was like, oh
After
my
you
God.
had said that to him,
No,
too?
luckily I didn't say that because I
good.
didn't seem so crazy. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, like, you know, it just feels like you get it, it feels, like, dirty. It feels like you feel like to the guy that you may have given it to, like, oh, my God, that makes me feel like I'm sleeping around with all these people. And for me, like, I don't know, like, and even if you are, I mean, if you're, you know, taking care of yourself and you're not putting, you know, who cares? But,
totally. But that's the thing, right? And that's, like, the point. And I think that's the best part of what our conversation can be about tonight is unpacking that a little bit, you know, because, you know, like you said, very rational. It's kind of like, well, if we're having sex and there are certain, you know, measures being taken to protect ourselves, whatever, it's like, who really cares? But then we do, you know, that there's a lot of stuff that comes up around how we might shame other people and other gay men too for how much sex you're having and what you're doing and how you're doing it. And it can feel really dirty and gross in certain ways. So I'm just curious to ask you, what do you think? Like, where does that come from? How come we can have that kind of thought about sex and hooking up?
That's a good question. You know, honestly, I don't.
Not to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious, just like immediate thoughts, you know?
My immediate thought is just that there's, like, you know, some shame in sex still, and it's like we want to be. It's like we want to be. I don't know. Not that we don't want to be, like, sleeping around, but I feel like if there is some shame, if you're like, oh, you're hooking up with a lot of different people, then it's like it's. People, like, frown upon it, kind of. I don't know. Why
do you think people, like, frown on it?
I feel like that people think you're easy and you have no, like, standards and you'll just sleep, like, with whoever. Like, I feel like it's more so with women. Like, it's such an easy double standard with women because it's like if a straight man is sleeping around a lot, like, I feel like there's almost no stigma. I feel like it's the opposite. It's almost like that guy's the man.
Totally.
Don't you think? And then, but if it's a woman, it's like, oh my God, no, it's bad. And I don't know. I think I don't know.
I think that's a really good point because in straight relationships, it's almost like a badge of honor, right? It's kind of like how many notches in your belt can you cut if you have had sex with, like, how many women, you know what I mean? So it's something to be praised, whereas if it's a woman, because it's like misogynistic and sexist culture that we live in, it's kind of like, oh, well, she's a hoe. You know, like, she's not supposed to do that. There's something wrong with that. And so when you apply that to gay men, then it's like the same kind of judgments that can come up, especially, and this is a topic for another time, but the whole, like, top-bottom thing and bottom shaming that can happen and how that then gets applied to, like, bottoms. But just in general, how easy it is to just go to a place of judgment within the gay male community because of that. And there's kind of two main things for the reason why there can be this kind of judgment around sex. It's one, just because of, like, how deeply entrenched our society is in, like, puritanical beliefs, you know, like super hyper religious beliefs that, like, sex should only be happening for the sake of procreation and marriage. So there's, like, already that level of shame and stigma that gets attached to sex, and then add on the fact that it's gay men doing it. It's like a double whammy. So there's, like, all this shame that can happen around sex, and we can easily feel like we're doing something wrong. And if we're really engaging our lives sexually and becoming kind of more sex positive, it's very easy for us to feel like, oh, there's something wrong with that. I shouldn't be having sex as much, or I shouldn't be doing these kinds of things sexually, or I shouldn't be talking about sex, that there's something really wrong with it because of that reason, you know? And so it's really easy for us to internalize that shame about sex and also project it out onto everybody else that mirrors us, like other gay men, and start, like, slighting and slamming other people for it.
So then how do we, like, basically, you know, become more sex positive?
Just this kind of conversation, opening it up. That's kind of why our friend who posted on Facebook, that's why we're, like, really, I mean, as much as we can, like, tease him about it or laugh about it, like, actually champion him and anybody else that can just put stuff out there publicly like that, because it's almost just kind of, like, in our nature to, like, not like we shouldn't, you know what I mean? Or we're conditioned to think that. But I'm curious. Oh, I see that we've got a call. So why don't we go ahead and take that? Who's on the line?
Hi, it's Mel.
Hey, Mel, where are you calling from?
West Hollywood.
Whoa,
in our own backyard. Mel, thanks for...
Is this Ryan?
This, no, well, Ryan's here with us, but this is Matt and Jimmy.
Okay. I was the douchebag that hung up on you last week, the first call.
That's right. You were our actual first call that didn't get through.
I sent Matt a note. Anyway.
Yeah, I actually got that note. So I'm glad that you decided to call back. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. And Jimmy, by the way, I'm the idiot that met you at the library a few weeks ago. So I'm not stalking anyone, okay?
No,
full disclosure. Thanks, Mel.
All right.
So Mel, what questions do you have for us about hookups?
Well, I just would like to say that in terms of hooking up, I went through a period of my life where I was hooking up, 2, 3, 4 times a day. It was almost like a sexual addiction, and I had a lot of problems. There were some guys that were like, they wanted to, be boyfriends, and I wasn't into it. And I felt bad because they wanted so much more, a little bit more, whatever. I'm not trying to brag about myself, but
they kept coming back, Mel.
How do you just tell somebody, like, this is a one-time thing, and I finally got over this whole, whatever, parade of men coming in on my home. But I think the thing is, when you're on a hookup routine, you got to be very careful about, people's feelings are involved and expectations, and you got to make it clear.
Totally. Mel, how did you wind up doing that? How did that actually work out for you? Did you find a way of being clear about expectations that worked?
Well, I just realized that it was just, it's not about being a whore or anything like that. I mean, it's like enjoying sex with different people. I mean, we're men. And I just realized that I wanted more, but I didn't want more from the people that I was hooking up with.
Okay, so I guess it just sounds
out of it.
Yeah, got it. So it just to me it just sounds like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like that you were just kind of checking in on kind of where you were at and what you were looking for, and when you realized that maybe
I wanted to get laid. And then
totally.
I decided,
ain't no shame in it.
And then I decided I wanted to get loved,
Exactly. So then just being aware of that and pulling back from the hookups and kind of making yourself more available for other relationships, is that what happened?
Well, that too, and also because, we've all been on the side of rejection at one point in our life, and, I kind of grew up and realized, the same thing is happening to these guys that I'm doing to them that happened to me, and I didn't want it to. It was like, kind of like, why be shitty to nice people?
Well, what did you, Mel? What did you say to them when you were like, you had a hookup, it was good? Like, how did you make it clear that you didn't?
I didn't make it clear at the beginning. I made it clear when the act was over and said, "You got to go."
Okay.
And after a while, I just realized I'm being a dick. This happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's a sensitivity. So it's kind of like being upfront about what you really are doing. If you want to do a hookup, I mean, they're great. I mean,
totally. But just that it could be beneficial to have those conversations maybe earlier on. That if that maybe some of that could have been avoided if you would have just maybe had more of that up front.
Yeah, because I really think, at the base of it, we all want something more.
Yeah,
some of us don't. But, I knew I wanted something more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wasn't really being fair.
Cool.
So
great.
Did you then stop going on the hookup apps and just kind of you were looking for something more serious at that point, or you were saying that you were meeting, you wanted something more, so how did you pursue with that?
Yeah, I just totally, had an epiphany and hung it up, and, I've been with my boyfriend for 12 years now, and
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
thank God for that.
Cool.
Awesome.
I mean,
Cool. Awesome.
like I said, it was fun, but I think we're all looking for, we're all looking to get laid, but I think we're all looking to get loved.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's definitely a great point.
Anyway, you
all
guys
right.
are great.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks for
Thanks,
calling
Mel.
in.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you coming
Jimmy,
back.
good luck tomorrow at the Groundlings tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
Shameless
And don't you dare stalk me.
All right. Bye, Mel.
No,
Thanks again.
I love
Thanks,
you guys.
Mel.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for calling.
No, I think I think Mel's actually bringing up a really great point about how there is a difference between the intention behind what we're doing, right? Like it's either we could either be having sex for the sake of sex, or maybe that we might have a different intention of wanting to connect in more meaningful ways. And sometimes we might be a little bit lost on which is which. But we actually have another call, so why don't we go ahead and take that. Hello, who is on the line?
Hey guys, this is Ryan. How are you?
Hey, Ryan.
Ryan, how are you?
Where are you calling from?
Miami, Florida, so I'm 3 hours ahead of you.
Whoa.
Ryan, thank you for staying
Yeah,
up
thanks for
this
staying
way.
up, Ryan.
I mean, I'm assuming you have work.
I know. I'm like, I have to be up at like 5 in the morning, but I'm like, I'm just call you guys. Every
Yes,
once in a
You're
commitment.
awesome. What do you do for work? What do you have to do that you get up at 5 a.m.?
Well, it takes me an hour just to get ready to leave the house. So by the time I actually get to work, it's about 7:30, and then I work in IT security. So
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Awesome.
constantly monitoring the world of finance and malware and threats.
Got it.
Awesome.
Cool. Well,
I'm
thanks.
in the nerdery. So.
well, thanks for calling. What question do you have for us about hookups?
Well, not so much more of a question, but I think, I was listening to the last caller, and I thought about my slutty years, and I'm 34 now, but I remember my very first boyfriend, when he broke my heart. I ended up taking a job with a cruise line, so I was traveling, and I'm not too proud of it, but I'm not proud of it either. I mean, I felt like when I was in my early 20s and I was so brokenhearted, I remember I felt like I was out there having sex, like I was trying to get revenge or something.
Yeah.
It was like I felt like I became the version of myself that I never wanted to be. I was never really a hookup person, but I started becoming that person based on what somebody else did to me.
Yeah. Well, that is very similar to. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you're right. That is very similar to the last caller, where Mel was talking about, kind of the difference between like hooking up a lot and eventually realizing that he wanted something a little bit more. It sounds like that's what you're saying too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was very much. I became this person that I really didn't really want to be, and then eventually something happened where I stopped. And as the years progressed, I thought, there's always that one person when you hook up, he's like, okay, I don't want to be a dick, but you got to leave. That whole idea. But there's always one person that's going to want something more than the other person. One person is closed off because their boyfriend or somebody else broke their heart, and they're just a total wall. Or the person that they're having sex with is more open and more vulnerable. So one person's always going to want something more so than the other. But I find it difficult to have casual sex because sex really isn't casual when you really break it down. It's a physical expression of love, and if you don't love somebody that you're having sex with, it's really hard to cut off any kind of emotional tie, because what you just did was an emotional tie.
Yeah.
And to actually ignore that, as a human being, is to ignore every single human emotion that you have.
Totally.
And that's not easy to do. So
Yeah.
it's very difficult.
No, I think that's a really great point. It can be really challenging for us to be able to differentiate between when we're having sex just for the sake of pleasure, just to connect with somebody else just on that level, and just for fun, and just to be able to have exclusively the physical expression of things.
And I think oh, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's okay. And then I was just going to say, and then the other part of that too is also the intimate part of things, and when sex is paired with intimacy, and when it's challenging for us to be able to know what it is that we're looking for, whether it is that we just want to have sex or we're looking for something a little bit more of like a meaningful tie, an emotional tie with somebody, then we might use one for the other accidentally without realizing it.
Yeah, and I think some people can just have sex and they're totally cool with it, So I mean, I would hate to make it seem like I think that anyone who's having just sex and not in love with the person that's like bad or whatever. I think it's so personal, and only you know how you feel about it. I feel like for me, I think it gets tricky when like I actually do not like the person, but I'm attracted to them, and so we can have sex, and then I'm like I really don't enjoy being around you. Like sometimes it's just kind of
after it's over, you're just like you just want to get away as far away from them as possible. You're like, what did I do? I don't even like this person.
Totally, Ryan. I had a friend who would make fun of me because I told her this story. There was this guy who I hooked up with. I told you this, Matt, the other night. There was this guy I hooked up with a couple times, and finally he turned to me. He's like, "You're so different in the mornings," which is like, and there lies like my entire like problem with sex. It's like I'm like charming. I'm like turning it on. There's all this sexual tension, and we'd hook up, and the next morning I would like fully shut down and just like, count the seconds, till he would leave.
Totally, yeah. All right, Ryan, did you have any questions for us about anything, or did you just kind of want to chime in?
I guess maybe if I had any questions, I'd be like, especially that I'm from the Midwest, so living down here in Miami is definitely, I've been here about a year now, and it's, I don't want to call it a whoreville, but it's very, wow. It's,
totally.
I guess I'm so curious as to how people, I mean, is there a way to, if you're going to have sex, is there a way to cut off all emotional ties? Because it's something I still have a hard time doing. Like, if you're going to have sex, you're just going to do it and have fun.
Yeah. I mean, I
think about it.
Yeah, I think Jimmy was hitting a really great point in that it's just it's such a very personal thing. For some of us, we might only want to have sex when it is attached with more of like an emotional connection, and for others of us, there might be just like great joy and pleasure and ability to have sex just for the sake of sex. So again, it really is just kind of a personal thing, and if we find ourselves in any way trying to detach emotionally just so we can have sex, I would say if that's more of a conscious effort or if that's happening at all, then you might want to check in on that. But otherwise, again, it's just kind of a personal decision.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks, Ryan. We appreciate you calling.
Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah.
No problem.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good luck getting up early tomorrow.
Cool. All right. I think thank you. I think we've got another phone call.
Oh my God, you guys are blowing us up. I'm obsessed with it.
So, hello, caller. Who do we have online?
Sam.
Hey,
Hi,
Sam.
Hi, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm good. We got Jimmy here, too. Sam, where are you calling from?
I'm actually calling from Manhattan Beach.
Cool.
Okay.
Well,
not too
hello.
far.
Yeah, not far away.
Hi.
What question do you have for What question do you have for us about hookups?
Matt before. Hookups, actually. So I did have a question about, I guess, clinginess or attachment.
Okay.
And so how could you, I guess, stop that?
Oh my God, all the callers want to turn it off. We're like, we keep having sex and I'm having feelings.
So you want to know how to
you
want to know how to avoid
Matt.
clinginess?
Well, I guess attachment, because like my last relationship, we started having casual sex, and then I just got way too attached, and then it just started to become a thing, I guess, every weekend.
Oh.
And I really liked them.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, you're speaking my language right now. I feel like this is mostly me.
Jimmy, what questions do you have for
Granted,
him?
I'm very young, but
You're not very
I
young?
just really want to. No, I am. I'm only 19. So
You're a baby.
I am a baby. I'm a baby. Yeah.
So, all right, well, Sam, then tell us, like, how did that relationship, how did it actually start? Was it meant to be a hookup? Did you meet to hook up? Or?
Yeah, where'd you guys meet? Tell us like a quick bio of this guy.
It was just I met him on Scruff, and then we started hanging out, and then he actually started helping me out because I just recently came out, and he started helping me out because my family wasn't reacting well. So then I stayed with him a lot, and we started getting closer and closer.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I just got really attached.
Got it. Okay. So
That's my first real gay relationship, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So totally, and it can be really confusing, that there's so much that we're just trying to figure out. I mean, Jimmy and I have been in some relationships and we're still trying to figure it out, right? But what did you? So you said that you guys met off Scruff, and it was kind of a hookup, and then it sounded like that it evolved into maybe like a little bit more of a just kind of like a broader relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But and I think he was like afraid of commitment. And granted, he was 42, so it was a big age gap.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And what was his background? Was he like one of those people who was always single? Was he in a getting out of a relationship? Any kind of baggage?
He said he was single for like a good 5-6 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
You know, a lot of times what can actually happen, especially in the gay community, because of the fact that most of us weren't born into families that are gay, we have to kind of figure things out. We're like one of the few marginalized communities that actually have to rely so heavily on each other. That there's this phenomenon that occurs within our community called family of choice. So, you know, people that can be more than just friends or more than just, you know, acquaintances, but we can actually feel like that there's a family element to it. And and also really relying on people who might have more experience than us so that we can have that kind of guidance. And sex can be a part of that sometimes, but it can also kind of morph into a bit of like a mentor-mentee relationship, which is a very healthy thing. And sometimes we might even have shame around that because there's this whole thing about like, oh, are you a gold digger or is he just trying to like hook up with like the young cute piece? You know, and start to shame people for those kinds of relationships when they're actually really, really healthy and really essential for us, especially as gay men, to be able to have that kind of support.
That's such a good point, Matt.
Does it feel like any of that kind of seems at all what your relationship with this guy is?
It was. I mean, we broke up like 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago now, which sucked.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it seemed like that. I mean, it's definitely a mentor, and then so that helped. And then I was going to say another thing to add on casual sex. I don't think really casual sex is healthy anymore because it has ever been healthy. Just because through casual sex, I feel like you get attachment no matter what because sex is very intimate, and then you get dopamines and all that. So I guess casual sex leads to attachment and I guess a false sense of romantic love.
Okay.
So that's my ideal.
That's your take on it.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, it really also depends on just kind of where you're at right now. And you know, and it sounds to me like where you're at right now that you're looking for just a little bit more support. You're looking for a little bit of closer, more meaningful ties with other guys who are gay too. So casual sex just might not be for you right now. You know, you might be looking to form more intimate, meaningful relationships outside of the context of just sex. So that's totally okay.
Yeah.
And also maybe down the road you might be open to that too. But it's also okay to just kind of own where you're at.
Yeah.
All right.
That's such a good point about just family. I love
Well,
that.
I want to say, Matt, I thank you a lot. I've been to at least one therapy session with you, and it helped a lot, and I've seen a lot of your videos, so I do
cool.
appreciate everything you've done.
Well, it's nice to talk to you again, Sam. And thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
I mean, have any of my videos
Thank
helped you?
All right, you guys have a good night.
Thanks, you too, Sam. Take care.
Bye.
All right, we got another caller.
You guys are killing it.
Yes,
This is awesome.
Yes. All right, cool. So we've got another caller on the line. Who do we have on the line?
Howdy, I'm Bradley.
Hey, Bradley. Where are you calling from,
going?
Bradley?
Calling from Dallas.
Awesome.
Yes, the
All over the
South.
map. Dallas, cool. So what's up, Bradley? What questions do you have for us about hookups?
This one's probably been going on for about 10 years. When is enough enough?
Okay.
And why don't you talk to me, Bradley?
The
Because
title of my memoir.
No, I feel you. Tell us the backstory. What's the quick history of you and this guy?
I was 23, 24. He was maybe 30, 33. Now I'm 31. So it probably was like a strong infatuation on my part at the beginning. And then,
Okay. Bradley, is this somebody that
you
you've
know.
just been hooking up with for this amount of time?
oh yeah, 100%. I've had a boyfriend in between there.
So you guys were never a boyfriend situation?
No, I don't even think I would consider it.
Got it. Okay. So is that something that you were looking for from this guy? You said it's been about 10 years you guys have been hooking up. You want to know when's enough enough. So were you looking for something a little bit more than just hookups?
No, it was, for lack of a better phrase, it was a bit convenient.
He lived in the same
You know what I mean?
apartment
Like,
building?
on my part, like I said at the beginning, probably so. I think a little bit of, naivete and just like sense of connection. And
Okay.
then afterwards, it was like, I think I kind of got it that it wasn't going to be that way, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the sex was good. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, come on. Like, that's what makes it really hard to let go, right? When the sex is really
Took that
good.
long.
But also, look, sex can be really great, and, to hold on to it for 10 years or more probably suggests that maybe there's a little bit more than just some awesome nailing it sex.
Yeah.
But probably, the fact that you're forging some kind of relationship, and even if it's not going exactly where you want, there's something that's been built there. And like anything else, it's always hard to say goodbye. It would still be a loss.
Can I ask a question to you, Matt? What do you say to clients who they're in and out of either not an abusive relationship at all, but like they're these like dramatic relationships or back and forth? Like, what advice do you give?
I think the first thing would be to just don't try to do anything else. Just take a beat and check in on what has been the issue from relationship to relationship. And if you can start seeing what some of the patterns might be, then we might be able to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. If we find ourselves in some of these kind of like problematic relationships, or even just, even if they're just hookup relationships, then we just kind of want to see what the theme is. Mm-hmm. Because, if, you're constantly going after the person who's not really emotionally there, who's just there physically, and who might do things for you, but like isn't really emotionally present, and you're kind of grasping for that, and you do that from guy to guy, and that can even show up sexually and wanting, it's like those are things that can suggest like, okay, well, what's going on there? And what way does it feel like that there's this anxiety or fear that you're not like getting onto something a little bit more intimate with the person, mm-hmm. and just start unpacking that instead of just going after the next one and the next one and trying to like get the same thing, mm-hmm. taking stock of what's going on inside.
Well, I was even thinking when you're in that relationship and you keep on going, because my history is like, I had this relationship where we were together for 2 years. I thought we were going to get married, and then we were like breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together. And it was like my friends were at a point where they're like, I can't even handle this anymore. Like, mm-hmm. but I couldn't, I was so confused, mm-hmm. So it's like, I feel like a lot of people have that.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'm just always curious, like, what do you think it is about that relationship is it just addicting?
I mean, there can be certain elements of it that I wouldn't necessarily want to just throw like an addiction label on it, but there's definitely something that can be very appealing about it, And if there's still the same kind of like pattern that's happening, then it probably means that there's a lot that's happening externally, trying to like fix a problem with things that are going on and people that are going on in your life, instead of being able to take stock of what's happening inside, what's the meaning that we're attaching to things, and what is it that we're seemingly trying to fix externally from us. It's, we want to be able to bring some of that attention and focus back inside and check in on what's going on. So Bradley, I don't want to keep you hanging on here, but did you have any kind of like quick specific question for us?
Well, I asked when is enough enough. I guess the backstory is it's like it's a matter of convenience a lot of times, but I suspect that there are times when it's like, either you're bored or lonely, and or I may reach out, as a
Bradley, I would actually say just to help give you some kind of answer to this, the fact that you're even questioning it, the fact that you're asking when's enough means you're probably already there. It sounds like you've probably already been there for a while. And being able to maybe kind of lean into the discomfort and challenge the fear of not having that as a go-to, but being able to find some way of, whether you're relying on other friends for extra support or being able to detach from that, actually, even though it's really uncomfortable in the immediate sense, you're opening up space for somebody else who can be available to you to be there. So I would just say, maybe just challenge some of that.
And something that helped me, there was this quote, I don't remember who said it, but it was like, when you're missing that person in your life who was, you were romantic with, and it feels really intense, that's actually you becoming the most you, like almost like in withdrawal from all that. And that really helped me, because when I was really like missing, when I was like going through a breakup, or I stopped talking to someone who wasn't good for me, just to like lean into that emotion was helpful. So I don't know if that helps, but
I wonder sometimes, because it's like it's not a situation where it's like that 1 foot in and 1 foot out kind of situation. It's definitely, there's little conversation. The act happens, it ends, he goes his separate way. And I guess it's not one of those situations where we're like maybe together, he stays tonight, and
Totally.
You know, we see each other from time to time. It's like absolutely sex 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's challenging, and again, it's just another loss. So we're rooting for you. We wish you all the best, and hopefully some of that was helpful. And thanks for calling in, Bradley. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right,
Bradley.
thanks, guys.
All right, cool. Jimmy, what do you think? What do you think about all these calls we're getting? Did you think we were going to get these kinds of questions?
I don't know what I thought. I'm always like shocked that people are watching. No, I thought it was great, and it sounds like a lot of people have like just very mixed feelings about sex, and like a couple like common themes were like, oh, it's not, it's not good for me. It's just me not feeling like, it's not me. I'm so not like anytime Ryan or Matt like try to tell me like a little signal, I like it totally goes above my head. I'm like, then we just talk for 20 years. I think it's good. I think my main thought is I have someone who actually really wants to get a question in if we have time for it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I hope you guys all loved our resident puppet. People were very supportive on social media, so keep that coming so Matt doesn't cut it, because Matt is the boss of the show. Sure. That's like so shady. Will you fix it? Okay, I feel like last time it wasn't okay. And wait, Ryan, can you do a 2-minute timer so that like if it gets over 2 minutes, like okay, great. All right, and hi Matthew.
Hey Tristan, how are you?
I'm sick.
I'm so sorry. What's the matter?
I have chlamydia in my throat, and it absolutely sucks.
How did you find out that you had chlamydia in your throat?
I got an anonymous text.
Oh, so somebody told you that you had chlamydia in your throat.
Well, I think you remember, I was at Coachella a few weeks ago, and I ended up fooling around with some guys, but it's so freaking random because I only top.
Okay, well, it sounds like you had some fun orally, too.
What's my problem?
Well, first, before we even move forward, I just have to make sure, did you go to the doctor and did you get tested or treated?
I don't have health insurance, and I was actually permanently banned from the LA Gay and Lesbian Center.
Okay, well, I'm sure that there's definitely some resources that would be available out there for you, so I'll make sure to give them to you after our session. But it sounds like you also...
You're an absolute doll.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you feel comfortable here telling me all of this and sharing this with me, because this can be challenging stuff to talk about.
I'd be more comfortable if we fucked.
Okay, 2 minutes is up.
I just like, Matt, everyone wants to know your like style as a therapist, and like I think nothing brings me greater joy than to see you having to deal in a professional way with someone who's just horrible. It makes me so happy. I don't know, is that awful?
How did I do? How was I with
you
Tristan?
You were great. I love how you like helped to find him. I wasn't even thinking that. Like, he needs to be treated, like, ASAP.
Seriously.
And you were like, do you have a place he can go? And then...
But more specifically, is Tristan a projected identity from you?
No. Oh, my God.
Is this some part of you?
I forgot to tell you guys.
How much mouth sex did you have at Coachella?
I actually was banned permanently from LA Gay and Lesbian Center, and I have been wanting to tell you guys.
So, Jimmy, I think our time has come. I think that we're wrapped up for show number 2. I know.
It was so fun.
But I just wanted to thank everybody for coming and watching, and so many call-ins. That was awesome.
So awesome. We love it, you guys.
I get
so excited for Mondays. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do the show. And
so please keep watching and definitely call in because we love it. Be sure to check us out on social media. Like I said before, it's at Into Talk Show. That's Twitter and Instagram. And be sure to come back here next Monday at 8 o'clock
When we'll
PM
be talking
Pacific.
about...
When we'll be talking about...
It's a surprise. You'll have to stay tuned.
Well, I think we're going to talk about relationships.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was putting Matt on the spot, and he in the drive home, he'd be like, "Oh my God, you totally
can't
put
believe
me
you
on the
did
spot."
that to me." No, we're going to be talking about relationships. Maybe we'll kind of angle it a little bit, but it's definitely going to be something about relationships. So stay tuned, and you'll find out more.
And maybe Matt will let me bring my 3 latest exes in, so we can all see how they feel about me.
Not.
What do you say?
Probably
Ryan?
not. Okay, but thanks, guys, and we'll see you guys next Monday.
Thank you. And
out.
is the music playing?
Are we still on?